So, welcome to No Shame, episode 105. Is that what it is? Yeah, 105. So, we have a man here that has interviewed me. We actually know each other now because we've read each other's books. So it's a weird way to kind of figure out each other. And do you know, it's like, I feel like we're mates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Richie Sadlier.
How are you doing? Thanks very much for having me.
Irish International, Millwall legend. We'll go on and on and on.
Yeah, author's the weirdest one,
isn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose I'm only 2 months like yourself. We were the release of our books was only a few weeks apart. So there's a lot of overlap here.
Right.
But yeah, it's 2 months now since the book came out, and usually actually I'm more comfortable in your seat.
Right.
I like interviewing people.
Brilliant.
I'm curious about other people and I want them to talk about them. I'm not really interested in telling you about me. But I understand that it's part of the process of the book and all that kind of stuff. And actually, the thing that I've been surprised about is how enjoyable I found most of the interviews and the chats around the book promotion. I was worried that it would be all about one or two particular issues in the book. And I'd have to drag up the same story. And I tried to, like, how am I going to make this interesting for me? And so that I avoid just being repetitive. And every single interview I've done, people have honed in on different bits of the book. So every chat I go into going, I've no idea where this is going to go. So I actually enjoy them now.
It's crazy that you say that because we've had the same thing happen to me. Yeah, like I've never been asked a question of like the same question of what about this part? What, you know, it's been. But
there was so much in yours though, because I remember because we did the interview with you so we were sitting in these seats. And so I read the book and I knew, okay, so if we're going to do about 40, 50 minutes, like, and I don't want to skim over everything, I want to get into certain things. And there were so many things potentially to get into. Like you could do 2 or 3 interviews with you. So I could see why everyone would hone in on something different.
Different parts. No, and you know what? It's a crazy experience writing a book, isn't it? It's an emotional experience. Like it's like paid therapy. Someone said, was it you that said it to me?
Yeah, so I work as a therapist and I still go to therapy. So throughout the process of writing the book and even in the build-up to deciding on doing the book, I go to weekly therapy. And so with all the difficult stuff that was coming up as I was writing it, and a lot of it was stuff I was familiar with. There was nothing new kind of came up for me. There was 1 or 2 things that I found out along the way.
You open a box and it opens another box.
Yeah, a couple of things I had to find out for the book and they were a little bit difficult to deal with. But I had the kind of the safety of the therapy room too. Do you know where? And everyone has it in. You might have with your partner or with a coach or with a business partner or something or a mate, where you're just with them and you just know it's safe for you trust the person, or it doesn't matter what you say won't go any further, or you think that they've got the cop on to be able to support you or deal with you or steer you in the right way or whatever. So I get all that from going to therapy.
Okay.
And so it's brilliant. So I just keep going.
It's hard to find that. It's hard to find somebody that you're at the explaining there.
Yeah, it is. Well, like I often, and it's happening more and more often now. I'll get mates of mine, like bloke mates of mine, who'll email me or text me and go, listen, thinking of speaking to someone, how do you go about doing it? And I'll give them the whole spiel about, you know, what the price range is, or get somewhere location wise that's convenient and blah blah blah. Would you prefer a male or a female? But the thing always comes back to it's the connection.
With a therapist?
Yeah. You've got to feel like you whatever you think you need to say to this person, are they the kind of person you think you could say it to? Do you have that? Like, it's like, you know, you connect with someone you went on a date. Why do you fancy someone and I might fancy someone? We all connect to different people for different reasons.
Different personalities and charismas. And
all that. So the therapist that I work with, who is brilliant for me, you might meet him and go, nah, I didn't click. Anyway, so the fellow I work with, I really get a hell of a lot from working with him. So I just keep going. It's a really simple approach I have. Do you know when you find something that works?
Yeah.
Just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it.
Don't complicate it.
And
it's you feel better after doing something. Just try and do it as many times as you can.
People with fitness and stuff like that. How do I do it? You just eat well and you keep doing it.
It's very simple. You know the way you felt great when you jumped out of the sea? Well, just jump back into the sea.
Is that what therapy feels like? Does therapy feel like kind of like a session, or like a getting out of the sea, or like a one-off kind of thing? I've never done a therapy session.
It's very... Every session can be different. So I've had the experience of being in both chairs, in the chair where I'm the therapist and in the chair where I'm the client. And so some weeks I'll go and I know, right, I need to talk about this thing that happened this week. Or some weeks I'll go and go, I've actually I don't think I've anything to say. And then you sit in the chair and all of a sudden you're getting into something really deep that you didn't see coming, and you go, wow, we're in a whole new path here. We're going to be weeks and weeks on this one thing. Or you get into, why am I a certain way all the time? Why do I react a certain way in certain situations? Or every time I meet Paddy, he just gets me and I don't know why. Or that kind of thing, or in relationships or in RTE situations or certain people. And in the safety of a room where no one else knows what's going on, you just get to be curious about why you are the way you are. And I find that a real benefit.
Here's something I find about therapy. Not against the therapy or anything like that, but to me, the idea of sitting down and me, like, say if I was paying you to sit in that seat and I was telling you everything, I was feeling like I was just like I was at the dragging someone out for a point that didn't really want to be there. Do you get what I mean?
You think the therapist wouldn't want?
Not that they wouldn't want to be there, but the idea of, like, it just feel like if I was paying somebody to sit there and listen to me.
Right, so exactly what you're saying. When I started to train to be a therapist, I really grappled with the money bit, because it was like, okay, I get in practice what you're aiming for. You're aiming for this really unique connection that doesn't happen anywhere else. Nowhere else is the relationship completely one-sided. So if I'm the therapist and you're the client, we're only ever going to speak about you. So
this is what I mean.
Do you know what I mean? It's one-sided. It's very structured. We'll meet once a week for 50 minutes. There's no contact outside of that. We don't have each other mobile phone numbers to text. There'll be no going for pints. There'll be nothing. And we exchange money at the end. I was going, does that not cancel out all the goodness or the integrity of the blah blah blah?
Sounds like a prostitute.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the
you don't have any communication and just meet once a week.
I don't know what you imagine happens.
No,
in
only
I know, yeah, but so I the money thing did for a while, and so when I trained to be a therapist and I qualified for like a lot of therapists, I did it for free for a couple of years. I just volunteered in a place nearby here, actually, in Tallaght for a couple of years.
What's the place called, if you know what we said?
Down in St. Catherine's, in the Priory down Tallaght Village.
There's some amazing places around here for
and it's low cost counselling.
There's another place called Hope. It's incredible.
It's low cost counselling. I actually don't even know if it's still operating. I assume it is. And I did another place in Bray, which is the exact same setup, and it's for people go in to meet somebody, not the therapist. They explain what they're there for. They explain maybe what their issues are, and they explain what they think they can afford every week, and that's it. So you can be little as a $5. I think the most anyone ever paid was 20 quid. So it becomes affordable to people who mightn't be able to afford the 60, 70, 80 quid that some therapists charge. Because I was like, I really want to do this, and if I'm charging money, does it lessen all that stuff? And then after a couple of years, I started realising, actually, I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands on learning what I learned,
and even getting to the place where you're doing therapy,
getting to do it. So and then you realise actually it's emotionally very challenging being a therapist. Amazingly rewarding. Like it's brilliant, and I love it. And the feeling I get from doing it is the kind of feeling you'd like to get, and you wouldn't want to be paid. Like it's brilliant.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's that thing you have to kind of. I actually start to value what I know, and I have to start appreciating that you're worth something, which is something I would struggle with anyway.
I would have as well back in the time, and that's a big mistake. I make sure my own athletes don't do it. I wanted to be saying to Robin there before we came in.
Exactly, valuing your own self-worth. I heard you talk about it coming in.
Him, you know, and the idea we were just having that conversation because it's very easy to do that. Like you're young.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
do a young question.
Yeah.
I'm not as young as I'd like to be.
You're
but it is that thing, like, because people can have an interest in doing certain things, they can have a ability or talent, but then they also have to value themselves.
Yeah.
And go, well, I'm going to bring, I might enjoy doing what I'm about to do, and you might appreciate me doing it, but what I'm bringing to the table is worth something. And some people are very comfortable going, this is what I'm worth, pay me. And others, I'm one of them, maybe you are too, going, oh, you have to ask for money here. I feel a bit of a dick.
To be honest, like say we do one-on-one.
Well. Yeah, it's very
sessions. We do one-on-one, say martial arts sessions, and like they're expensive. So they're expensive for a reason, because not that I'm not mad into doing them, but for me it's probably about 3 hours really, because by the time you get here, then you do a session for an hour, then you talk to somebody for 20 minutes after, then you go home, it's like 3 hours. So it costs about like 180 quid probably for a one-on-one session, you know what I mean? Now I don't do many of them, but I probably turn down more of them than, not that I should, but it's nearly like therapy, like what you're saying there. 2 questions for you on the therapy thing, and then we'll go into the excited part that I wanted to get into, because I've lots of questions for you. The first one being, is it not weird when someone comes in to do therapy and Richie Sadlier's sitting there?
At the start, so at the start, when what year was it? It was 2012 when I first started seeing clients, and I'd have that thing as well, because again, like some people, when they start doing something, they can't imagine anything but success. I again, I'm not like that. When I start off, I concentrate on the reason why this is going to go tits up, right? So one of the things I thought is, well, I'm a former footballer, so how seriously is a former footballer going to be taken in the world of therapy? Like, I'm a bloke as well. Women are probably better than this than men. So those are the 2 hang-ups. But at the time as well, I was starting to get more regular work in the RTE panel. So I was going, if I'm getting animated about people getting sent off, or calling for managers to be sacked, or having a debate with someone about whether it sort of should have been a yellow card or red card, are you really going to look at me and go, that's the fella I want to talk to about the most personal stuff, about my childhood, my relationship, my suicidal thoughts, my whatever. So I thought, well, there's loads of reasons why this isn't going to work for me. But there's still a little part of me going, well, I'm going to ignore all that, or else I'm going to be driven to prove that side wrong. I don't know what it is.
Part.
Yeah, it's going, well, I'm going to shut you lot up, all the voices in my head.
Be quiet, boys.
Exactly. I'm just gonna keep going and persevering. And then early on, I'd be looking for comments in a session where someone might, little hand gestures or little looks, where if they said something about football or sport, if there was a little knowing little nod, I go, is that them revealing that they know I work on TV or not? And I remember the first time it's called like a door handle comment at the end, and then they're always really interested when you work with someone for the hour, and then for some reason they'll wait until they're walking out the door and they'll say something. And we've been here for an hour, I wonder why they left it till that moment. So anyway, this one door handle comment was, I saw you there and tell you there last night, or whatever. And off they went. And then and they didn't bring it up then after that. And then I used to feel as if it would be a negative that they, weirdly, and looking back, because now I don't see it at all. Now it's actually a positive. If I work with young people now, I get some extra little bit of
course,
something to go, you're the bloke on TV. I kind of half think I know you. There's a football sporty link, particularly with young lads. It just helps.
Yes.
But at the time, most people come see me now know that I work in this other area as well. They also know that like I work in the media and I used to play football and all that.
So they know that you've got mad a bit, and what you're doing.
Because I'm a bit more open now. When I started working as a therapist, I would never say it publicly. So I'd go on radio shows and off air beforehand. I'd say, I'm here to talk about football, and I know I go to college, and I know I work as a therapist, but I'm not comfortable talking about it on air. So please don't ask me. I would want to keep the two separate.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I just did. I didn't have the confidence to talk publicly about what therapy involved or me as a therapist. So I just separated them. Now I just integrate everything.
Yeah,
like,
that's an easier way of living as well, isn't it?
It is, but it took me a little bit of time to get comfortable enough to sit down and have a chat now, and nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, I only want the public to know this bit about me.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
How free is that though? How freeing is that? You know, like I felt when I say I got a book off my chest. You know what I mean? Instead of getting it off your chest, I got a book off my chest.
Yeah.
To me, that was my therapy. You know what I mean? In a way of getting rid of it, and it was kind of like 8 Mile in a way. So it'd say to me, it's like my son asked me like, "Why did you do with that?" I'm like, "Well, I'm in politics now, and I'm going into politics now, so I'm kind of putting the 8 Mile flag on them, if you must." Did you ever see what Eminem does to the guy in 8 Mile?
Yeah.
I am a bum. I do live in a trailer with my mum. He tells them everything about him, and he's like, tell them something they don't know about me. So now in a way I've kind of like given everybody the answers of a million different, because people, all of the stuff that blew up in my life at the time, especially with the gyms and all this kind of stuff, people are like I don't, they had different opinions of them situations from different people. So to me it was like about pushing all of the real truth out there, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
But it's kind of like, and I find doing that in, so I'll do like corporate talks or meet people or whatever, and I think it just disarms everyone when you're really open and honest.
Exactly.
And you just go, here's me. And I think, okay, right. So, and you go, no, here's me. Like, this is everything. I'm not leaving out anything. This is the shitty bits that I'm really uncomfortable about, and for years I wouldn't want you to know about. Here's the stuff that's embarrassing. Here's the stuff I wish I didn't do. I'm glad I did. Some people know, some people don't, but just here it is. And you used the word freeing there. Like, that's been the biggest thing. It's been so freeing. Now, maybe I should have expected this, but I'd be banging away in therapy all year going, but I was just questioning it all the time. So what's the world going to look like for me after the 4th of October?
This was me as well.
Because it's unanswerable until the 4th of October
yes.
comes. And yours was November the 4th or whatever, early November, whatever it was. And it was like, how are people going to be with me? How are people going to interact with me? What are they going to find interesting about me? Or what will they turn away from me now because of X, Y, and Z that they know? And because there's no way of knowing until you do it.
But then you get people around you like, so we're on the therapy, we're doing a therapy session here, we are 20 minutes in. We never start from the end to the start, haven't we? No, we usually go start to finish. Now we're re-engineering this one. The other question I wanted to ask you is, you said about whether you're comfortable with a male or a female therapist. We run a course here now, so we've done our first ever course. We created 3 lads, me, Alan and Neil. It's called Fire and Ice Programme, right? It's a men's programme. So what we do is we're going to run programmes all over the country, and what we do is the first part of it is me teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, teaching the how to fight part of it, what fighting really is, and how it's not what people think. So what we do is we start off, I call it the samurai drill, where everyone lines up and everyone does a rear naked choke on each other. I tap, he does it to me, I do it to him, and we both put ourselves in this mad vulnerable position with a total stranger, right? And then we go through different positions and the idea of what it actually means, and physics, and tougher is not being better, you know, bigger is not being better. Having a bald head and tattoos doesn't mean you're aggressive. Taking away that part, you know what I mean? So disarming them in that way. Then we do an hour of it, right, where it's like it's talking about like the chin paradox, or the idea of how your brain works, talking about thinking. Then we do a part with Neil, that's a breathing exercises, and then we go down and we get into a cold water ice tank, so an ice bath full of water. And this is what he specialises in. He's trained on Wim Hof.
I've heard about it.
So,
I know the fella.
So we've put it all together. We have, right, in the idea. So it's a men's program. Amazing for people talking. Like, we'll come up. So we mix. We have travellers. We have people from all different kind of communities, all different backgrounds. Average Joe blokes, people that have just retired and don't know what to do with their life. And we just put them all into a room, and then we put them into an ice bath together. And you want to see what happens? It's magic. They come back up the stairs and they're like, talking, and if you just listen to it, it sounds like a pub at the end. But at the start, it's just silent. And then we came across the topic of the idea of, it's a men's program. Many of you say, right, we have a men's program. What about the women's programs? You know, and it's like,
you see a lot of that online now. If you tweet about some charity, well, what about the other charity?
I know.
If you tweet about one cause, really worthy cause, someone will pipe up, well, that's in that country, what about something closer to home?
No.
Go, lads, I'm just doing something that will benefit a group of people.
It's
Don't knock me because it doesn't benefit the entire population of the globe.
Each swing of the axe has a benefit and has a you know what I mean, a purpose for it.
Yeah.
But the idea we were talking about is, if we did enter females into it, so then if all these guys were sitting here and doing this with females, it changes. Everything changes. People won't talk the way they would have talked. People will be a little bit more masculine. People probably won't want to take their clothes off and get into an ice tank in front of girls. In therapy, is it the same?
Because I think there's some people out there who like to get the idea, you know, we're all the same. So there's an idea of inclusion and equality, and you know, we don't see race or colour, we don't or religion, and everyone's the same. And I agree with that we're all of equal value.
Yes.
But there are certain parts of our experience which are unique and which are to be respected, and gender does matter.
Absolutely.
It just does.
There's male and female
Like,
to me.
exactly.
The science part, there's male and female to me. Now, if you're happy, if you want to be a television or you want to be whatever, you're happy. It doesn't affect my life.
So I'll get people who come to me, whether they're male or female, and they'll specifically want a male therapist. And I'll get mate of mine, male or female, who'll specifically want a woman. And that's just because their own personal reasons. And there's no right or wrong. It's just that they get and it could be because they had a really close relationship with their mother, so they can imagine speaking to a woman. And it could be it's something as basic as that, or it could just be, they could be one of these blokes that always just felt uncomfortable or socially awkward around women. So just a female therapist wouldn't work for them. Now, you've got to respect that. You've got to respect their experience, that they can acknowledge that I'm not as good talking around women as I am with a bloke. It's not knocking this fella, it's not thinking less of him, it's just going, okay, that's great awareness, so use that awareness, and maybe it would be better for you to work with a man. And likewise with women. You could think some bloke, oh, no, I don't want to be vulnerable in front of another man, because they've got certain hang-ups about what a man should involve.
Yeah, and the problems are different as well.
Exactly. And you go, well, I'd be more comfortable telling a woman this because I'd feel more supported. Because they might have a version in their head that women are more supportive. They're more nurturing. They're more compassionate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that about women, that they don't have those views about men. So
You
gender
wouldn't even
matters.
You wouldn't even be able to say that these days, that women are more compassionate than men, because you'd be called out on it, wouldn't it?
Yes, but again, I'd always kind of, when you're doing something as personal or as intimate as going to therapy, then you need to work out what will work for you. So if it's a male, if it's a female, if it's someone in their 30s or someone in their 50s, what age are they compared to what age you are? All of these things will matter to you. So listen to that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not worried that someone else might hear that as, are you being ageist?
Yeah, all right.
Because, you know, I mean, because I did that actually when I started training. I was 31. And I thought, well, I'm not going to get any work because that fellow over here in the class, he's 60 and he's got grey hair. He looks like he's loads of life experience, and he had this calm voice. And I thought, well, he just has way more credibility as a therapist to me as a 31-year-old. Yeah. So everyone, we have our own little hang-ups and little personal bias about whether it's age or gender or life experience. But when you're trying to get support from someone, go to the person that you think will be most supportive for you.
I feel great after that.
Do you know what I mean? It's simple. It's kind of common sense stuff.
No, I know what you mean.
It's just common sense stuff.
When you start playing football, were you that kid in school that was always fucking good at football? Yeah, because I wanted to be a footballer when I was a kid, right? Now, and I played football, I was good, I was a decent little right back, I was fiery and I was vicious, alright? But then there was always that guy that just knew where to be standing when the ball came down, and he just had it.
I loved it. Like I would play, like my uncles, whoever would tell me, as soon as I could walk, it'd be, you know, some kids go to whatever toys or whatever. Mine was always the ball. Always wanted the ball at my feet, and any free time I had, it was playing football. And this was, I sound like an elf here. This was before, like, you could be a big football fan now and be a kid, and you could be consumed by football, but never actually touch a ball. Because you could be on computer games, and you could watch it on TV, and you could be online, and you could be on like management games or whatever. You could be all day, every day in the world of football without ever actually touching a football. But back then, it was just about a football.
The football.
That's all I did, and I loved it. And it just made, like, so I wrote stuff in the book about, you know, me growing up in various childhood struggles and all that stuff. But the thing that I remember most, and even when I wrote the book, first of all, you might have had this, you know, when you write a little bit and you read it back and go, yeah, all those bits are true, but I need to rewrite this because this makes it sound like it was way more grim than it was.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that did happen, and that happened, and, you know, I grew up in a house, an alcoholic home, and there was challenges, and it was difficult, and you're always shitting yourself going, is he going to go drinking again? And will we all have to move, and my parents break up, or blah blah blah. And that was true, but the majority of my time was spent, and not like escaping into the world of football, because it existed. Like, it wasn't like this fantasy world, but like I was out playing all the time, doing something I was really good at.
Yeah.
And when you do anything that you're really good at, whether you're drawing pictures or building Lego, whatever it
It
is,
flies.
and you enjoy it, and you feel good about yourself.
I felt the same. No, definitely, because people were like, I've had people ring me after me book and be like, Paddy, you don't have to say my name twice. I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? Be like, what the fuck?
I do that thing where they tilt their head and, oh Jesus.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's not a bit. To me, it was
I'm
a bit
the same.
Yeah, it was like I just wrote down what happened, and as one box opens, the next one opens, and then. But like, to me, like my childhood, like I had one person say to me, I didn't like the way you talked about Jobstown. I didn't like that, right? And I was like, and then I did the maths. She didn't even live in my housing estate when I was younger, so. She was like, yeah, but like, I live there now, and then my family. It's like, this is not about you, missus.
Exactly. But I had the same thing as well. Like, so when I was writing about the years in Millwall, it's like, I'm going to write about it in ways that reflect my memories and my experience, and someone else who was there at the same time might write completely different things, because they remember different things and they focused on different things. And I write about it, so if I write about any of the crowd trouble or the difficult stuff, or the stuff that's described now as old school or kind of bonkers way of training, that might sound or feel insulting to some of the people I'm writing about, but that was my experience. That was when you write a book, you get to write about what was your experience. Yeah. So the one who told you about she didn't like how you wrote about Jobs, that's fine. When she writes her book, she can write about her experiences, and we'll sit back and go, that's your experience and fair play to you. But just because yours is different to mine doesn't mean mine was wrong.
Yeah, no, we do. I agree with you. I hear you there, because
I'm getting ranty here.
Yeah, it's like don't. So as a fast forward, you're a kid and you're moving to England.
Yeah.
So like this has to be crazy. I have a lad that he lives in my housing estate, Glenn McCauley, and he actually signed for Bohemians the other day. So we're playing for Liverpool for many years, from 13, I think, all the way up to 17. And I've always had him on my mind, because I was worried about him. I actually had him on the podcast as well, but I was worried about him because I couldn't imagine what it'd be like being a young Irish lad moving away to this big scary world, you know, and you were going away and you were carrying a lot of damage as well, as like, and going away is like it kind of gives you time to sit there and think about it, and you're in a position where you should be grateful, you know what I mean, but like you're like, yeah, but sometimes I'm just sad.
Yeah, there was loads of, like, first of all, so I did the Leaving Cert in 96 and moved to Millwall within a month or two of that, and I signed a 1-year contract, because that's all I was offered. And I went over with the expectation, because you're made aware of just how you're trying to climb a mountain here, and there's very few places at the top, and there's a shitload of people at the bottom, and it's competitive.
Yeah.
And at the slightest weakness that you show, you're gone. You'll be pushed down to the bottom, and someone else wants to take your place, and they won't wait around for you, because there's a match every Saturday. There's 11 players needed every week, and there's only a certain amount of players that this club can sign. So I was in a youth team squad. There was 18 of us, and I remember you just know from talking to the lads who are a year or two older, only about 3 or 4 of that 18 are going to get a year's contract, maybe a 2 years contract, and of those 3 or 4, maybe only 1 or 2 are going to get a second contract. So that, like, for the want of a better phrase, the failure rate is quite high. So, you know, the thing to expect here, and it's the common sense approach, is to expect that this is not going to go the way you want it to go, because 99 point whatever %, that's their reality. But you've got to go into it on the basis that it might, and you've got to make all the sacrifices knowing that it's probably not going to pay off, but it could. Now, the good thing about it, you're doing something which is really enjoyable. So it's not like you're going out, like,
lift the blocks.
You're not going out having a horrendous day after day after day in the hope that it might turn good. It's great every day. You're just going to hope it'll continue. And it was really difficult initially, because it was all the like, I was 17, so I'd never been away from my family before.
In Ireland, leaving was
Never
you
like
were going for a long time.
yeah, like
you went over
it's-
holidays.
So now, like if you left, you like whatever. You have a million different ways of keeping in contact
Yeah.
with someone. Before, when I left, I didn't have a mobile phone.
Letters.
They didn't have internet. I was writing my sisters were writing me letters. Like this is like sounds like a different era altogether. And I was going into a climate which was very harsh. Now I loved it. So and this isn't a story about how difficult. I loved it,
Right.
but it was very difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's not really actually that healthy for a 17-year-old, like a teenager, to go into an adult workplace where there's no such thing as being like sensitive to someone's age.
No, or soft.
No, you don't sit there and go, okay, developmentally, this fella's 17 and we're 28, so there's
Yeah.
certain conversations we
There's a
shouldn't
guy
say
you
in
talk
front
about
of
in the
him.
book. I can't remember his name at the moment. Razor or something.
Rhino. Mm.
Yeah, like what a name. Like he sounds tough.
He was brilliant. A really, really fully committed player. Mr. Millwall. Hundreds and hundreds of appearances. So I was a teammate of his initially, and then he became the reserve team manager, player reserve team manager, and then became the player manager. So we went from being kind of teammates to being manager. And I know I'm 17 or 18 and he was in his mid-30s. So it's not like you're ever mates. You never drinking buddies. You
Yeah.
never, none of that stuff. But he was, do you know what he realised? And I didn't put this in the book. He realised I was too nice and I was too soft and I was, which is all great traits when you want to be a therapist.
Of course,
right?
yeah, but not-
when you want to be a Millwall footballer.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Wrong direction.
Yeah, so he would deliberately mark me in training and kick the shit out of me. So, you know, you'd have bibs, you know, with the green bibs, you'd the yellow, but whatever, bibs would be up top of my head. Because he was a defender and I was a striker, so he would naturally pair up against me. And in training matches, it's not like there's a referee who stamps down on every little indiscretion. Yeah. It's like the kind of school of hard knocks. And he kind of used to kind of repeatedly give me rough treatment every day. And there'd be times in matches where I'd be, if you were the defender marking me at the start, to be, and the ball was up there, someone's injured and there's a long delay, I'd turn and chat to you. And they used to fucking kill me for that. What you were there making, and I was Ian Dowie, so people know him now as Sky Sports presenter, so he was playing one day and we played against him. And I clobbered him in a clumsy tackle. He fell on the ground. And he's sitting there going, Jesus, big man. And he put his hand out for me to pick him up, and I picked him up. And at half time, I got ripped to shreds.
For picking him up?
Picking him up. Just any, he said, you forget about all, you've got the wrong approach completely to this. You're not out there to be friends, you're not out there to be nice, you're not out there you're out there to do a job. Toughen up. And I remember there was a time we had an FA Cup game. And I'm marking this fella, and I was there a few years at this stage, and I'd physically filled out a little bit. I got a bit more confident, and I started feeling like this club is my club. So I didn't feel like an outsider just coming in. And it was brilliant because I grew into it, and I'd been there a long time. Even I think actually by the time I finished, I was the longest serving player in the squad because I'd been there 7 years. Because in football, there's a huge turnover. Lads come for 2 or 3 years, they're gone.
Yeah, like you can see, and it's even more now.
Managers come and go, they're gone, and backroom staff.
Even owners of clubs.
Exactly. So it's really, and you can be gone at any moment. Yeah. So, and then there was one day where this fella was being particularly, he was wanting a bit of a scrap during the match, and at this stage I was enjoying that part of the game. So I
loved that part.
I loved it. Like, so in the tunnel beforehand, like every match you'd have, a lot of it's off instinct, a lot of it's you just go read a situation and do what you think is right, but there's some scenarios where you know in advance what your jobs are. So if you're defending a corner kick or attacking a corner kick, you'll be told there's certain movements you've got to make, and everyone knows the job. But I'd know who my job is to mark when we're defending corner kicks. So if I'm told you, right, it's Paddy, number 6. It's like, grand. So I'd see you in the tunnel. And we'd be standing in the tunnel and I'd clock you. And I wouldn't do any stupid, like, psychological things to you, but in my head, I'd just be going, okay, number 6. That's me. It's me and him now. I'd have this little battle in my head going, for the next 90 minutes, I'm going to come out on top. And I used to love it. And then there was in this FA Cup game, this fella was kind of getting stuck in, and in the second half, Fuck it. And I fucking clobbered him with my elbow. And he went off with a broken nose. And the following day we were doing a warm down on the Sunday, and the coach goes to me, did you mean that yesterday? And I just went, well, I meant to hit him, yeah. Like, I didn't mean to break his nose. And he just goes, well done, son. So it was like this, like, football's about so many different things.
Oh,
like
yeah, I know. I can see that.
Talent,
now.
skill, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Psychological stuff, yeah. But you're fighting all these different, the crowd or the media or the manager, or you've a sub on the bench who's breathing down your neck. You've an opponent who wants to, there's loads of different things you have to juggle.
10 fights going on.
Yeah, and whatever personal stuff you've got going on in your life, you either park it or use it as motivation. Do whatever you need to do to get the best out of yourself. And you could have some contract situation going on. You could be carrying an injury which you think is going to blow up. You could have an international coming up, transfer on the horizon. You've a lot of balls in the air, and you've got to go out and do your job. But one of the things I had to do was learn that you've got to start imposing yourself physically on other people. And when I started doing that, I really liked it. And I thought, well, I was good at this part too.
That kind of reminds me a little bit of fighting in a way, because like everything on the outside of the cage is bullshit. Like basically trying to get to a fight like uninjured.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Trying to make the weight.
Yeah. Making the weight. When I read about all the stuff you have to do to make the weight.
Sponsor and all of it. Like the weight is like, it's this obsession. It's a goggle that goes on. But then when you step inside that cage, like, and I'd say the football pitch is the same, and they lock the door. Now it doesn't matter if I get injured. Now it doesn't matter if I hurt my training partner or this guy, because this is
because
what
one of the weird things is when you're a footballer, the majority of the people who speak to you, like if you walk down the street, the people you don't know that will talk to you are the ones who know you, who you are. So they're football fans, and usually the ones who stop you, they're quite fanatical. So the majority of the people you meet are fanatical about the job that you do. So you can very quickly, and I see it with a lot of lads, you can very quickly get a false idea of how important what you do is. But you can also get a very warped sense of how important next Saturday's match is, because everything in training is about this match. Everyone's mood in the town will be about the result of the match, and everyone's interactions with you until the next match is going to be how you play in this match. So you can stand in the tunnel beforehand and go, this is the most, and legitimately believe it. And I used to do it sometimes. You go, this is the most important thing I'll ever do in my life. These 3 points that are available for us today are the most important things we'll ever have to go after and get. Now that's brilliant when you're a footballer to have that mindset, because motivation isn't going to be an issue.
Yeah.
You're going to be focused and you're going to be as up for it as you need to be. The problem I found when I finished was I genuinely believed that scoring goals and winning 3 points and winning matches was the most important thing there was in the world. It was it had meaning. And since I was that height, putting the ball past the goalkeeper was the most important and meaningful thing I could do. And then at 24, I was like, I can't do this now. I don't know what I can do, but this is the one thing I know I can't do, and I'll never be able to do it again.
Would say it's, you mentioned the city and the mood in the city.
Yeah.
Would I be wrong in saying that the film Football Factory really explained another kind of, I don't know, a crazy element of football that is like
Hooliganism. Yeah, and it's
people say to me like, you should throw the football away because the hooligan. I'm like, no.
And I think most people, certainly I did it in the mid-90s when I got the first call from Millwall to say we'd like you over on trial. First things I thought about Millwall. It wasn't silky football, great facilities, winning trophies. It was the behaviour of the fans.
Millwall and Chelsea, I mean, like it's heavy. Like it's like would it be? It's the equivalent of Rangers and Celtic.
It's like, but the difference with us and Chelsea, for example, is we were never in the same division.
Yeah.
So we were kept apart. Or us and West Ham, we were kept apart for the years that I was there. So there'd be games where you'd play other clubs, and after a while, you get to know a lot of fans, and it was really interesting. Like, they talk with pride about trashing Blackpool on a Friday night before we played them on the Saturday. Or getting in terror with the Welsh clubs, particularly Swansea or Cardiff City. We went into Wales and fucking smashed up the chipper. We'd run in battles with the police. To show you scars of... One fella used the phrase, I remember, he said, we played against Bradford. So we went packy bashing. And he had scars and he goes, I got this from the old Bill. And he would speak about it with pride. The way you might show me like a belt from that you won in a cage. And it's like, this is my level of devotion to the club. This is what I'm prepared to do to represent Millwall. And you're sitting there going, this is madness. But they believed it. It was, whether it's a territorial thing or a release or a just expression of, I don't know what.
Is that human just belonging?
Well, that's the big thing, which I think people are really dismissive of, is when you support the club and you have a United jersey on, you go into any pub, you see United jersey, connection.
Yeah.
Right, we both have the same devotion. We like the same thing. The same thing makes both of us happy.
Yeah.
And then when you're following a club, particularly when, and I don't want to be general about this, but a lot of the Millwall fans are growing up and living in tough conditions.
Yeah, so
it's not an area that is thriving.
No,
historically it's not, and the area is left behind in many ways. So there's loads of kind of social issues that the people are dealing with on a constant basis.
Some of the Georgie Best would have came from one of the hardest places at that time.
Yeah, there's loads. So
a lot of the greats come from these places.
Yeah, so
Brazilians and all.
The importance then that the football club or the performance of the football club, it's like you're representing them, not just the area, but them personally and their family and their parents and their grandparents. They've all, supported the club for you, all that stuff, and it matters. So when you go out on a Saturday, and if we went out on Saturdays, and the biggest crime that we could commit was looking like we didn't, looking like we wouldn't die for the shirt. If you pull out of a tackle or look like you didn't fancy it, that was it.
They would see that.
That wasn't tolerated at all. And I'd learn the hard way. That's because I was kind of walking around going, oh, this is great. I said, no, you have to go out there and look like you're fighting for the club. But then when you do it,
going out there, the Ultimate Football House that you had over there at that time with the Irish lads coming over. That had to be mental. That had to take parts of you in ways that you probably would have never.
So
as a youngfella, right? So like, say youngfellas go over and they play football, and as you said, like, it's the door just opens up. As a kid, you imagine like wanting to be able to be with any girl that you wanted, or boy, if whatever you're into, or whatever, how much money you want to have, and all of these things. But like, I'd be sitting in a situation where I passed through that door, you passed through that door, and I try to tell youngfellas now these days that don't chase all of that bullshit, because you'll feel like you're taking something, but you're actually giving a part of you away. In a way. But
it's difficult. So I'm sitting here as a 40-year-old.
What was that scene like?
So I can look back and but when I was in it, I didn't have the perspective of a 40-year-old's life experience. Yeah, and so I went over at the age of 17 to Millwall, a virgin, right? Football mad. And within a couple of years, I had earned enough money to buy my own house. I think it was on about 800-900 quid was my standard wage, but then you'd have appearance money and goal bonuses. So there'd be kind of a few grand coming every month, like enough to pay for mortgage, and I'd no expensive habits, nothing. Like I bought shitty clothes. CDs was all I used to buy.
Running down the Asics and CDs.
It's all I did.
CDs.
All I did. Stuff that you buy in stuff JD Sports.
Yeah.
Just no expense. So I never had to turn down doing anything because I couldn't afford it. So, but I became the first one of all my mates to live in a house with no adults.
All right.
Right? So I'm 19 and I'm a homeowner. And one of the other lads from Ballybrack actually played for the team, Robbie, he moved in with me. And it was everyone's holiday home. Every one of my mates in Dublin, because they were all still living with their parents. They'd come over, so they'd love the match ticket. So even going to the Millwall matches was an occasion. But then the Saturday nights, so we had a big tricolour along the wall. Like Wolf Tones would be blaring every Saturday night.
As you do.
With the proclamation, all this real cliches.
Listen, when you go away, you're more Irish.
Yeah, I became, and this was 96 and 97, so the IRA were still active. Yeah. Like Canary Wharf happened, was it 96, 97?
Yeah, 98 would have been the peace process. So
yeah,
it so, very close to the end.
It's very different to what it is now. And again, Millwall and the club and the politics of Millwall people, there was all that to deal with. So you become very aware of your Irishness.
Yeah.
And the house was full of Irish people. Like, honestly, It was when New Year's Eve, like we had a game New Year's Day, so we were sitting in, and I got a call from a mate of mine and said, listen, a mate of theirs is coming back from Australia, any chance he can stay in yours? I was like, of course he can. This fella I'd never met before spent 3 days with us over New Year's Eve, and I was like, the more the merrier. I just wanted the house to be full of like normal people, not people who looked at me differently.
Celebrities.
No, none of that.
Yeah.
It's not a celebrity world when you're playing for Millwall, but it's when you're a footballer, you can very easily fall into this notion that you're of more. There's more to you than other people, because people come up to you and ask you questions and sign this, will you?
Yeah.
Like now it's all selfies, but back then it was like sign this, and they praise you and they want to help you and they want to be your mate. They want to curry favour with you in some way. And again, in the minds of some people, that can go tits up. But like, it was just anywhere we went, it was to be a bit cute to get into a nightclub, and bouncer just going, oh, come on up here, lads. Just walk in, and there's like a little VIP area, in you go there. So I'll be sitting there with all my mates from Dublin,
And
like not with any notions about ourselves. Just sitting there going, handy. We don't have to queue. We don't have to queue to the bar.
We're going to be thrown out here soon in a minute.
But even the stuff around, like sex and everything, like it was weird, because I know a lot of people like have this notion that there's a culture within male team sports that they objectify women, or there's a kind of unhealthy attitude towards sex, and in many cases that's true. But in the culture you're in, like, you're objectified as well. It's women used to.
Sex is a two-way street.
Women used to come up to me, and I knew they're only talking to me because of the job that I had, which is weird. You're kind of going, there's 3 other lads here, and I'm the one they're speaking to, and the only difference between me and them is the job that I have.
With somebody that looks like George Clooney, and is in that way of like.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's a weird thing as well for your own self-esteem. You're going, this isn't because it's me; it's because of my job. Which again, I'm kind of going to flip back to this when I lost.
I'm a handsome bastard, so we wouldn't know what about that.
when I lost the job, to use that phrase, or when I stopped being a footballer, I was like, well, people are only friends with me because I'm a footballer. Girls only talk to me because I'm a footballer. I only have any self-esteem because I'm a footballer. The only meaning I have in my life is playing football, which made not being a footballer this massive, catastrophic, like devastating event in my life. Because it wasn't just, I can't play football anymore. You can't do your job anymore.
Your identity.
Yeah, the whole thing. So I was like, okay, right. This is gonna be a rocky road.
Before you get to this part, I want to ask you.
Yeah, I'm jumping around here all the time.
No, because we're gonna finish up soon anyway. The idea is walking out. Right, I know for me, walking out carrying that Irish flag.
Yeah.
You could have gave me millions to not carry it, or the opportunity to carry it, and I would have chose to carry it. You know, and I know some people are different about this, but when you got that call up for the international squad to step out onto that, what does that mean? Because as a kid, listen, we all look at that screen, especially in World Cup 1994 and stuff like that. Like, I was 2 in 90, and I remember that.
Yeah.
So I used to be screaming at the for Paddy Bonner. Go on, Paddy Bonner. When a boy used to go to the bar, I used to call it an ovary. My uncle said, that's an ovary. My uncle still say this to me today. Is that an ovary, Paddy? When I go over the bar.
It kind of, for me, it came in stages. Like when I was Italy 90, I was 11. Just mesmerised by the whole
Hats
thing.
painted,
Like
streets.
Like it was the most significant event in my childhood at the time. Ireland are in a World Cup.
Yeah.
And like a lot of kids, you go, I'd love that. But it's a dream. Like you're 11. Like what? So, and then throughout my teens, like it was going well, and I got offered on trial, and then I'd be playing on schoolboy teams who had players that played for the underage international team. I was like, I'm not as good as them. I'm not far off them. And then I started getting a trial, and then I went to Millwall, and then I got a call up for the under-18 Irish team. And I thought, there's some lads here I'm on the same. A lot of them are better than me, but some of them. So it was a gradual thing. So you play for the under-18s, and then the 19s, then the 20s, and then the 21s, and then you're too old. You go, well, the only thing left now is a senior team, or else I'm just one of these lads who's a youth international and nothing else. But the jump in standard is enormous.
From 21.
Because on the 21s, you're all young adults, or however you describe a 21-year-old, and it's capped in age. But then when you get over 20, you're competing. Me at the time was like, Niall Quinn was still playing.
What, big
and,
man.
like in David Connolly and like Robbie Keane and Damien Duff and lads who were in the Premier
Paul
League.
McGrath.
He would have been finished by then. And
Did you get to play with Paul?
no, he would have been well finished by
Oh,
then.
you got to play with Paul.
Did you?
I played right back, and Paul played centre back in the charity match.
I actually think I did. I played a charity match in Richmond Park years later.
What a footballer.
I know, amazing.
He, like, how he know, sorry to come
Amazing.
off it.
But
I
it was
thought
like-
I had one up on you there. I was like, one cap.
So like I remember getting the call for the senior and then okay, this is different. I can compare this to an under 18 game if I want.
Right.
Like it's the same jersey, same anthem, same flag, and blah blah blah. But it's not
It's
different.
different.
Or it's not. It's different.
Even when you're watching on telly, let's
Yeah.
be out straight. Like,
'Cause
if Ireland won the World Cup under 21s, that would be great. But if Ireland won the World Cup,
Exactly. So I remember showing up on the Saturday night in the team hotel, meeting Steve Staunton like for the first time, and I knew Clinton Morrison and Stephen Reid, and I played with Robbie and Duffer, but I remember meeting the Leeds lads like Ian Hart and Gary Kelly. I hadn't met them before. I'd seen them every week in Match of the Day, but never met them. So you've that thing of meeting people that you're kind of like your heroes, but not using word. You wouldn't use the word heroes, but they're people.
admirable, they're admirable. They would have
they're
been,
where they're at.
yes,
They're where I would like to be. So
absolutely.
you have to
I remember
kind
this.
of play it cool, but also I felt like you've got to kind of portray yourself here that you don't feel like a competition winner, someone who's dragged off the street. You got to look as if you feel like you belong.
I remember that with lads that I might have had to fight. You know,
Yeah,
I'm here now when he's
Yeah.
looking at me. It's,
yeah, yeah.
Man, like, saying that Connor's fight being announced. I remember being in a room with Donald Cerrone when we were all there at Boston, and Donald Cerrone sitting up there, and there's this energy in him, like, and Connor's now fighting him in January.
yeah.
But even then, Connor knew this would happen, and it was like, play it cool, you know. And we kind of all I don't know, staunched him out a little bit. Staunched him. Because you don't know, like, you're in the room with these people and you don't want to be friends with them because you might have to fight them in their game, you know what I mean? But in your game, when you're going in, I can imagine what that's like.
But one of the everyone was so sad. Like we all went out in the piss on the Saturday night.
Do you know,
Which
which
was-
is mental.
But it was because they'd all qualified for the 2002 World Cup in December, so and it was in Iran. I think was the playoff. So we met for the February friendly, which is the biggest deal in my life. I was going to play for them for the first time, but it's probably the lowest level game they've ever played. This is like a friendly
So they-
after the big job had
they-
been done
right,
before the
right,
main
right.
tournament,
Okay.
and they'd all had like dozens of caps at this stage. So it was all very relaxed. Everyone down on the Saturday night, and it was great crack. And then in training, and then Roy Keane shows up, and you're like sitting next to Roy Keane for dinner, and like you're in shooting drills with Robbie Keane and Niall Quinn sitting in the bus next to you, giving you little bits of advice, and I sitting there going, "This is amazing." Like this is amazing.
I can only imagine.
And then we've the meeting then on the afternoon of the game, and Mick calls out the team, and I didn't expect to start, but then during the game he was making a load of changes, and then you're warming up in the second half going, keep looking over, and you've this weird thing going, okay, I'm about to do, if I get called to go on, there's nothing different. I'm going to go on as a striker. It's not a new position. Pitches same size, the ball same size, goals. I'm going to do the thing that I've been doing every week since I'm 6. So in one way it's no big deal. But you're going, it is a big deal.
The other side he's
The
going.
other big deal. If the next time I look at the dugout and I'm the name they call, I'm going to go from being someone who dreamed all his life to be an Irish footballer to becoming one. But you have to hold all these emotions. You're going, just be breezy. just stretch your hamstring. And have a bit of crack with the other subs, and you did a couple of comments from the crowd. They're calling you over, and you have to deal with all that. And then I remember getting the call. Your
heart.
So I'm again running 20 yards from where I am to the dugout, putting on my shin pads, whatever, taking off my top, and then Mick's going, best of luck. Or you have Quinn, he fucking slapping you in the back, going, go on. Niall Quinn just goes, go on, get on and just get yourself a goal.
You can say it, but Niall
Get yourself a goal, like as if I'm playing the 12s for overs. We're playing Russia. Just get yourself a goal. So I run on, and then Robbie Keane came off, so I played with Robbie a lot of times. So, and then you're going, again, you try to do, I remember like going, this is kind of your job, and you've done it loads of times before. Go out and do it, but also like appreciate it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So like, just don't.
Having someone there to tell you that is important.
Yeah, and I was kind of looking around. So there was actually a streaker, a fella running on the pitch.
Brilliant.
And I collided with the referee and knocked him to the ground. During as well, there was the most memorable things I did in the match. But there was little delays.
That was your Millwall party.
Yeah,
There
was a few delays during the matches. There always is. Someone gets injured or there's substitutions being made. And I remember, so this is the old Lansdowne Road, and I remember just standing there looking around. The previous time I'd been on that pitch was in 1995, the Ireland-England friendly, which was called off during the game because of crowd trouble. I was in the west lower stand, and the loudspeaker bloke goes, we'd evacuate the stand because the English fans were throwing all stuff down on top of us. And I remember when I was in 95, I was 16. And I remember, do you remember the footage? Do you remember this?
I remember, yeah.
So you see all the fans on the pitch?
Yeah, and the flares were coming down over the top.
I bent down and picked up and I took some grass and I put it in the middle of my match programme. I was like, because to me, I'm on the most precious bit of grass there is in the fucking world. I'm on Lansdowne Road pitch. So that was when I was 16. The next time I was on the pitch, I'm like playing for Ireland now at this stage.
This stuff that you were doing there, people don't believe in this shit, but it does work. It does work. So some young fella reading this now or listening to this podcast now was like, oh, I wish I was. But this is it. You have to literally pick up the grass sometimes and smell it.
I love now. I'm sitting here.
Transcending yourself to these places.
If you'd met me 15 years ago, I'd have been 1 year out of retirement. I wouldn't have spoke like this because I would have been focusing on what I'd lost.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to appreciate the one cap. I'd be whinging about why didn't I get a second cap?
Yeah, of course. No, I know.
What about the caps I didn't get? And I wouldn't be talking with really huge amount of like pride about the stuff I did do at Millwall.
Of course.
I'd be kicking myself for the stuff that didn't go well. I'd be mourning the loss of the future that I thought was ahead of me.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm sitting back and going, I love the past. I love that. Loads of my past I would like didn't happen, but the bits I can't change it. And
I had to just take it, embrace it, take it on the chest.
What an experience! Even for a few years to get to do the thing you always wanted to do.
Amazing.
It's like you've had it.
I know, it's amazing.
And it doesn't matter what you want to do if you get to do the thing that you like doing more than anything else, and someone pays you to do it, and you do it to a level which means you don't have to do a proper job. You've cracked it.
You've won at life, you know what I mean? And if you can still be happy and look back at it like we are now, so we're nearly there. But before that, it'd be a shame to ask you about the presence of Roy Keane, because I know that you talk about this. This is the part of the book that I want to pull out. I told you I wasn't going to pull loads of it. I wanted to talk about you and talk about what I know, that like the feelings of it. Because this is why I love to sit people down and talk to them, because I know for the fact that you're just a man like me, but we were just very lucky to be able to get to a place that we like worked really hard for, planned, visualised it, and now I know if we looked in at that at 15 years of age and we seen two people sitting here talking, say we seen Robbie Keane and Niall Quinn or something sitting down talking and talking about how they were just human like me and you, like it would just drive me on, because we are born with this thing that this special part of us, well, they're special, they're not like us, you know, but we very much are like any normal person out there trying to make it. But Roy Keane obviously being, especially from my world, Conor McGregor being that extra special, that special of like, what, there's something there, you know. When Roy Keane comes into the session, you said that the energy changed.
That was my memory. So we met on a Saturday night and we all went out, and United were playing Charlton on the Sunday. So he didn't train Sunday morning because he was still in England, and he got the flight back Sunday evening. And the reason they flew him back Sunday evening was because he got the Player of the Year award and the FAI awards that night. And the Sunday night we'd all get tuxedo and go to this event. So he was training Monday morning. So everything was new to me. So I had the experience of Sunday morning training with the Irish team. A lot of us were half cut from the previous night.
I can imagine.
So it was quite relaxed.
I'm sure that.
And then on the Monday morning, Roy is there, and like he's not that big physically, but the impact this fella had, like the presence, I'd never seen it. Like I'd met a load of really hard men at Millwall, really tough blokes. Some of them were footballers, some of them were in the world,
in the stands.
Yeah, and in like really in the criminal world, like really really big figures in that world, but I'd never met anyone impact a room the way he did. And maybe it was my own thing. Maybe I was looking at him and it was the impact on me. But I swear to God, it was on everyone. And he just had an aura about him. Like, he'd already won the treble with United. He was Man United captain. Like, Old Trafford was like, he just dominated the place for years. And then I get to train. Like, I was going, this is fucking amazing.
Isn't it crazy though when you look at it, about even like as you said about he dominated Old Trafford, he did treble with Old Trafford, he was the captain of Old Trafford, but then when the use comes to an end, sometimes it just changes, because him and Alex Ferguson took it.
Well, that's the thing you have to accept in football, that a great amount of the relationships you have are based on the fact that you're a footballer and that you can do certain things on a Saturday which others can't. And then when you realise you can't do that, or other people realise you can't do that, their need for you might change.
Absolutely.
So, like, when I finished playing football, the call from the local BMW dealers about how's my injury, they stopped.
Let's do this. So
do you know what I mean?
Let's do the retirement thing, because sitting here, there's somebody that has retired young as well. I retired, I think it was 27. I had to retire, fighting for it for all my life to get where I wanted to be. But like, when it came to retiring, to be honest, I was exhausted. I was ran ragged. You know what I mean? I needed to lie down somewhere for a few days, and I never did that as a fighter. But you would have kind of. You had a lot of injuries coming up with your hip.
The hip was the biggest thing. The hip was the thing that I finished with. But
you
I've
explained that in
always
the book
struggled.
where you struck on the ball and you felt this ping in your hip.
Just this shooting pain in my hip. I just went to shoot. Oh, Christ. And then it was 10 minutes into a game away against Barnsley. I played for the Irish team 3 weeks earlier. And like in your game too, you'll feel physical pain, but there's a difference between being in pain and being injured. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Or where's the line between this is a tolerable amount of pain, or this is too much that I need to put the hand up and come off, because it could get worse. So I thought the stakes are too high here, I'm staying on. I just played with the Irish team. I knew I was getting a call up for the next cap. We were in the playoff positions to get promoted to the Premier League. All sorts of talks about me getting transferred. Now's not the time for me to get injured. So I stayed in the pitch for the game. Got worse and worse. It was a Saturday. Couldn't train Sunday and Monday. I said, just inject me. I have a game Tuesday night. I think we played Coventry or Derby or something. I said, just inject me. I never actually. You just assume it's that.
Give it to me.
Give me whatever it takes to get me onto that pitch at the kickoff. So they did. 12 minutes into the game, put my hand up, had to come off. And then the surgeon goes, you're going to need surgery. It's like, I appreciate that. But World Cup coming up, promotion campaign, transfer coming up. I love my life. Things have never been better. So a combination of injections and rest and denial of like, I'm going to just push through this. And I couldn't. So within a month I had to have surgery. And then he says, this is career ending. And then kind of spiral for 18 months.
What was the injury?
It was a torn, kind of like a labral tear. And label, as they described it to me, is like the cartilage, the hips, the hips, a ball and socket joint. Yeah. So there was like a chondral defect. I don't even know what that phrase means. There was a bit of a flapping away which needed to be trimmed, and the downside to that is you're exposed to more bone friction. So the arthritis. So your bones on bone. Yeah. So arthritis kind of in a way in your hip. Yeah. Wow. And he kind of said, and then I went back 7-8 months later and said, listen, it looks like you may have to retire, or else we'll give you this other surgery which is way more desperate, we'll give you way more long-term problems, but it's possibly going to get you back for a few years. Like, we're doing that. Fair play to you. So I understand that though. I get, like, it was kind of a desperation thing. Like, if you give me two options and one of them is retire, it doesn't matter how grim that is. Well, no. It doesn't matter how like ridiculously against all the odds this is. I'm going to go for it, because that's the end of the world. And people that don't understand will never understand that. Do you know, the idea of it's like a loved one to me. You know, when I retired, it was like someone died in my family, and if someone gave me the option to be able to bring that person back, but it costs this, that doesn't matter. The cost and all doesn't matter, because I don't know if you felt it like that, but to me it felt like a death. Like, well, that's what it was like. That's what it was like. Like, some days I'd be okay, and then some days like it would literally hit me, and I'd be extremely emotional. Like, my girlfriend would come in and she'd be like, she'd know,
You know what I mean? Like I was at the watching, say, a fight or something that day, or I seen a clip of myself, and I'd just be like, was that me?
Do you know what? I
Like,
had a weird thing. I don't think I put this in the book. My cousin, who was a couple of years older than me, I retired on a Wednesday. It went public on a Thursday, and on the Friday I got to train up to Newcastle to meet my dad and my sister who'd flown from Dublin. We were visiting my cousin Micheál, who had cystic fibrosis since he was a kid. He just had a heart and lung transplant, and he was lying in the bed having had the surgery, and it was anyone's guess as to whether he'd survive. And he was 26, 27.
heart and lung.
Right, so he was, and I remember speaking to his mum, my auntie, outside, and so all the papers were full of, Jesus, this is devastating, tragedy, poor Richie can't play football again. And I was visiting my cousin in his mid-20s, lying on the bed. He wasn't awake, and we didn't know whether he'd wake up or survive. Now, he died within a few weeks. And I remember at the time going, this really weird thing. I didn't come away from that with some new perspective on, do you know what, things can be way worse. At least I'm alive. At least I have the rest of my life ahead of me. I came away going, I know things can be worse, but in my world, this is as bad as it gets. So I just said, you know, it's not right for me to talk about it because things can be worse. Look at my cousin. So I kind of denied myself. You know, you said your partner might notice you're upset, or your friends might realise and you talk to them. I was like, how dare you talk about this? Look at Micheál. He's just died. How dare you whinge that having lived your dream life for 7 years, you now can't play football. So I kind of denied myself the opportunity of talking about it. So
because you were in that, because
I thought, you know, because in the weird, I know things can get way worse, but so don't talk about this. But not talking about it didn't lessen the hurt of it. It did feel like I think there's a phrase in professional sport, isn't it? You look two deaths: your actual death and the end of your sporting career.
That's a good way. I've never heard of that one, but that's a way of explaining.
Because you're just, there's such a change from being an active professional sports person to being a former one.
Talk about that change, right? The change of, because there's a lot of changes. There's a change in you. There's a change in others as well.
Yeah, there's a kind of a purpose that comes with for me with being a footballer. So it was like you've got to eat and sleep a certain way. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to maintain your health. And you get all the endorphins and all the positive stuff for being someone who exercises constantly and being super fit. And you have a goal every week. You're very focused. You have a match. You've got to keep your place in the team or win your place in the team. You've got to win a game or get promoted or avoid relegation. So you're always working towards something. So you're always kind of thinking, right, the next game. If the last one didn't go well, the next one will. And then it just goes. They're just gone. What's happening next week? It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. What am I going to do next week that's of any significance? It doesn't matter. Like, if I don't get out of bed this morning, there's not one person in the world who's going to notice. I went from going to school, did the Leaving Cert, to Millwall. So I always had a focus or a purpose. There was always a discipline or a structure to my life. And then there was nothing. So it didn't matter if I went out in the piss every night. So that's what I did. It didn't matter if I slept in every day. So that's what I did. It didn't matter. I didn't have to look after myself. I was eating pizzas every day. And
people won't question you either. So people are not going to, like, you're the epitome of success at that time.
Well, I kind of hit, I kind of like, there was an obvious kind of sympathy. Like, oh, Jesus, you know, that must be a nightmare. Like, everyone would say it. And it's what I would say to me if I met me back then. So it's an obvious thing to say. But I wasn't into talking about it. I'd be like, shit, it's a mare. Listen, how are you getting on? Just get back to you.
But people checked in on you.
I think they would have said it, but I made it very clear very quickly that talking about it at any length wasn't an option. We're not doing this now. We're not doing this now. Let's get drunk. Let's take a load of drugs. Let's just get this off the table. So it got, like, because there was no, and weirdly, like, I wasn't, for the first time in my life, I wasn't part of a team anymore. I wasn't a member of any squad. There was nobody in the world was a teammate because I was no longer in a team. And when you're in a dressing room, there's the border of the door. It's a significant boundary between you and everyone else. It's like this understanding that no one else knows, no one else is on this journey but us. We're the only ones who knows what it's like to be in the position we're in. And there's a lot of stuff that will stay in-house. A lot of experiences we have and a lot of pressures we're dealing with them together. And then when you go to being a former footballer, you're on your own.
Outside, yeah.
Like the modern day equivalent is you're removed from the WhatsApp group.
Right.
Do you know that there was no WhatsApp group, but it's that kind of thing.
I try to stop them groups now because that has an effect.
You're an outsider to the world that was. You're an outsider to the dressing room, and that was the only world that mattered anyway. So you're like you're just floating around aimlessly, going, "What am I doing? What can I do? What will I do? Will I ever get a job again?" It doesn't matter if I do because nothing's worth doing compared to the thing that I used to do.
Yeah.
And times 100, all day, every day. Nothing else. And then trying to put on an act as well at the same time, going, she didn't have 7 great years. Didn't I get to play for Ireland? Didn't I get to play with Roy Keane?
When you say that like that now, I can see that act. Like I can see that you're good at it, you know.
I sure listened for years. Like when I've written like really difficult stuff that happened to me when I was a kid. Like concealing stuff is quite easy to do.
Yeah.
If you want it, like it's doable.
But people that know you don't. Like coming out of the house, we got tickets sent to me for Aslan. She got them for Christmas. The envelope was open on the chair. She comes in today, right? And obviously I'd looked in the envelope. Did you look in that envelope? No. You did look in the envelope. People just know that are close to you. You know what I mean? Or people that know that are close to how you have felt. But I can see how you concealed that really easily. And
it's very easy to keep people at arm's length.
Yeah,
it's the easiest thing in the world.
And you know what? People really don't want to talk.
And even more so now when there's mobile phone. Like, and I used to love again when I finish. Like a lot of my conversations would be by text, because it doesn't matter what your demeanour is or your face looks like, or if you are crying or you've just been crying, or if you're miserable or angry, you've just punched the pillow or you've just cried in the pillow for ages. You can conceal all that by text.
Yeah.
Out in a mad one tonight, any crack with you? That doesn't set off alarm bells in anyone's mind.
Well,
so there's loads of ways just to put on a mask and to keep people at arm's length if that's what you want to do. So I'm now the very opposite. I'm at the completely other extreme to that, the other end of the spectrum. Like I said at the start, I just go to therapy every week, talk about this is what it's like to be in my shoes now.
This is who I am.
And I have a small circle of people who I talk openly to, and my wife, everything to. It's very different than the old approach.
When you look at football now, this is the last one I'll leave you with. Does it hurt? When you look at football, because these days, to me, football has changed. It's definitely changed from when you played it as well. Especially the style you played, the middle wall.
Yeah.
Like fucking tough to get on, like, you know what I mean? Like where now football is like people, like pink boots, white hair. You know what I mean? 700 grand a week.
It's different, but I think every generation of footballers looks at the one that follows them and goes, the game's changed, the game's gone. Like I remember, so our equivalent to that, when we got to being 18 or 19, one of the changes that came in, I think, was you didn't have to do jobs anymore as a youth team player.
Clean the boots.
You didn't have to be a boot boy or something like that. And then all the lads go, the game's gone. Or, you know, the changes over the years, you couldn't just randomly batter a youth team player. You couldn't bully him. You could, you know, and then all the lads are going, oh, well, that's got me to where I got, you know. So yeah, and then you know, the pink boots and all that kind of stuff, and agents and everything's changed. Like I've just read a book about Brian Clough, and he's talking about footballers that used to be have to have a trade to supplement their earnings, or they'd be given a clubhouse to play in or to live in while they were under contract. And when the contract ended, they were kicked out of the house. They didn't have anywhere to live. And you weren't earning enough to buy a house. You know, so it's completely changed. But like, when I leave here, I'm going up to Shamrock Rovers training ground tonight. Lynn Rowan, who we both know, is she just ropes me into doing stuff all the time. I just can't say no to the woman. So there's like a five-a-side or something going on. Now, I'm really sore this week. My back's in bits. But I have all my gear in the bag. And I'm going to put it on. And I'm going to stand on the sideline and I'm going to tell her, I can't play, but I bet by the end of the game I'll walk on the pitch,
You'll be-
even if it's just lads I'm going to go for a few minutes.
See this?
Just to
If you ever do need to come down here, get in that float tank thing. I'm not fucking messing. It would change. Like if I had this during my career, it would have changed everything. The other night I got into it, right, and the building's empty. I'm not messing, right. And you close down the lid, and after a little while, every time I turned my hands down, I felt like I was shooting down a river. Like all of the weight is off your body. You know when you have back pain, that taking the weight off your body is just a hard thing to do. I've never felt that like this because it's just the water takes the weight off your body.
Do you know?
Come down.
I
and
will.
sort this
I
out.
will. And one of the things I do, and you know, it's December, so this might sound like a bonkers thing to do. So yesterday and on Sunday, I just got down to the 40 foot, and it's freezing, and you jump in, and I'm in a lot of pain beforehand, and when you jump in, mentally as well, it doesn't matter what you care about or what's important. When you jump in the sea and it's as cold as it is, all that stuff becomes not important. And then no matter what mood you are going in, you're in a better or different mood coming out. And physically, maybe it's because it shocks your body or numbs you. I'm in less physical pain when I come out. So that's like the basic thing I said earlier. Like therapy works, so I keep doing it. Jumping in the sea works, so I keep doing it.
You just see, as they say, isn't it?
Just keep doing the day-to-day stuff that works.
I fucking enjoyed that, Richie, don't I?
We could have done this for ages.
Book. So I would advise you to get this book, right? Even though we're probably in competition for books, yeah, but mine too. But this is a great book, and I'm not messing. It's not just about football either. It's a really, really cool book. Richie, thank you so much for coming in. I really enjoyed that, mate.
Pleasure.
Can I just add
Absolutely
one really quick story, Richie?
Oh, sorry.
I told Paddy about this yesterday.
Okay,
Listen
go
to
on.
the story. Shows that Richie's a good man.
Yeah, when I was in college many years ago, fourth year, I loved college. The only thing I ever had difficulty with was my dissertation. The only way I could do it was if I did it on something that I loved, and two things I loved were football and South Park. So I said I'm gonna write it on one of those.
I love this so far.
A media student, the lecturer was like, you can't write it about football or South Park. I was like, why not? It's nothing to do with multimedia. So I kept coming back at them, and eventually they were like, listen, you can do it on football if you get someone really, really good to interview for your research. And so I was like, right, straight away, I was like, I'm gonna ask Richie Sadlier, because at the time, every Sunday you wrote for the Sunday Independent.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, do you still write for the Sunday Independent?
No, I stopped. I did it for about 10 years, up
Yeah.
until about 2016, I think.
I know you still living at home at the time, and every Sunday I always read the newspaper with my dad. Well, he gave me the sports section. I looked at the pictures, but I always read your section, because you were doing the punditry, I think, a few years. So it was like you had an email at the bottom of the articles, like Richie at Independent Diet, and I just...
So this is before Twitter, so that's the email address that people would just email me to abuse me about the thing I've just written.
Because it was always like in Trapattoni or something like that. Yeah,
it's
so
dedicated.
it was always giving out about the Irish team or something like that. But I said I have to, like, this is my only chance of doing my dissertation on football.
You email me?
Yeah.
Did I get back to you?
Straight away, like, it was Sunday night at like 9 o'clock, and 9:20 I think you got back. Yeah, no problem, here's my number, give me a shout.
You fucking legend.
The Hairy Lemon, the interview should have only been half an hour, but I was just like an idiot. I just kept like veering off topic and just talking about football, and it was 2 hours of your time.
We met?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, in a Hairy Lemon. I think you were going into News Talk afterwards. You just got a cake for your dog Frank.
Oh, he had a dog named Frank.
But Victorian Bulldog.
Oh, he had a dog named Frank, a boxer.
But yeah, so
Wow.
anyway, we did that interview. The college I ended up getting a first. I got this. It got
Well
this
done.
distinction in it. They actually offered me a research position that summer to do more research on it, because they said it was an interesting topic. So I did that, got paid for that. Not my first job. I'd worked in London, but as a graduate, I got a job then. I got approached by a sports science company, Stat Sports, to do a media role. They were looking for someone that was big into sport, and I was like, well, here's some research I did on football. and they loved it, and I've been with that company ever since. I worked
Wow.
in sports media ever since. So
Fair play to you.
So and then I've ended up here on the No Shame podcast. So long story short, without Richard Sadlier, I don't think there'd be a No Shame podcast.
no. There's no real reason. This is a secret.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is thanks.
You're very welcome and well done on everything you've done since. Fair play to you.
So
Cheers.
if you are out there and you are in a position to be able to help someone like Robin in a few years, like, answer their messages. Get out there, give your hours to these people, because you've no idea what it means to be able to just get that first step on the road. And to me, I try to do as many people as possible, and let's help each other, because that's what it's about, you know what I mean? Also, this week I got my black belt.
Yes.
Took me 13 years, but I got my black belt in Brazilian
man.
Jiu-Jitsu. If you haven't seen the video, it's online, Shinobi vlog. It's on my Instagram channel. It's about 20 minutes long. If you haven't watched this, right, I had to grapple 57 people, one after the other. Took me an hour and 40 minutes. By the end of it, I'm in bits, right? But I got about 45 of them.
Is that good numbers?
Well,
Is that a good return
45
out of 57?
57 people.
Jesus.
Put yourself on a battlefield with 57 people and you kill 45 of them. So it takes a long time, but yeah. And anyway,
The video was emotional. I
emotional.
definitely didn't cry.
no, I definitely didn't cry. I'm not crying. You're crying. You're crying, Richie. That was episode 105. Look after yourself.